Hi everyone, and welcome to So Crazy's traditional sampler block number 2. Our mosaic block is what we're working on today, and let me go ahead and give that a little peek. This is the one we're working on. So today we're going to touch on making triangles. Again, remember, we have a whole lot of newbies out there that really don't know how to do this. I've got my seasoned people. I know you guys know this. Just have fun with it. Just do it. Just make it. We are going to need 5 colors. If you don't want to do 5 colors, you don't have to do 5 colors. If you just want to do 3 colors and alternate colors, you're more than welcome to do that. This is your block. But I went ahead and did 5 colors just to show, kind of showcase how that will look with the 5. And so what you're going to need, and I had on Facebook earlier how to do the cuts in that, and I had some questions in doing that. I want to just kind of show you. I thought it made sense, but maybe it was confusing to some. But the way that I did it, I had each piece and they were laid out with a little card, and the little card was telling you to cut how many and the size to cut it at. Okay, so my thought was, I will lay this out. You'll see that this is this piece, and you would know that that's the one that you want to find what color you want there first, and that would be how you would cut that. So I'm hoping that all makes sense to everybody. If not, just let me know and I'll try to find another way to revise explaining that. But I also wanted to show, because I had a question on, someone asked about, if you have 2 yards of this fabric and you're just cutting pieces from it, like how can you do this to keep all of that other fabric from getting cut? So what I do, and it's just kind of like if you're doing the quilting and you have to quilt by rolling it up and putting it through the center there to be able to do your quilting. It's kind of the same method. So I just kind of take, this is clearly not 2 yards, but I just kind of roll, I fold, and then I just kind of roll everything back like this, so that I am just showcasing what it is I'm wanting to cut. Okay, I brought my other mat out, so hopefully this will be able to be seen a little easier when I do the cutting. And I have everything cut here ready to be able to construct block number 2, but I do need 2 more pieces of my outer center area. So I'm going to do that because that's a bigger piece that I need to cut, so I wanted to be able to show that. And again, on our creative grid ruler, we only have 6.5 inches width, and for this particular block, for the outer large center triangle, it is requiring 7.25 inch. So I'm going to have to rely on my grid for that. So I am going to lay this down. I have my piece that is all centered here, ready to go. So I just put this right up against the line, one of the lines here, to make sure. And if you have any, if it's not matching up and you need to take just that little tiny bit off, do that so that it's all straightened up. Okay, so I'm going to look here at my mat and I'm going to count over for my 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's asking for 1/4, and my grid has little 1/4 inch marks here. So I'm going to lay my long. That's what makes this ruler so wonderful, because that is the width of the fabric that I'm needing to cut. Okay, so I am going to line this up, and with this creative grid ruler, you have all of these other markings on here where you can follow the markings on your grid and also on your ruler, and be able to match all of these up to know that you are centered and ready to make that cut. And so I am going to hold that down, and I'm just going to go straight up. Okay, and I'm going to have some excess And now I'm all done with this. Again, it's already rolled up, ready to go. I just flip it over. I'm going to toss it back here, okay? And then I'm going to, again, take this piece. Now I can switch over to my smaller ruler that's not so long and in the way. And I am going to take this little, as you can see, I've got like a salvage piece. So I am going to just kind of line this up. So I follow my lines down here on my grid to make sure that this piece is straight. And then I kind of pull this over to one of my other lines that I'm following. And that way I make sure everything is squared up and ready to cut. I lay this on the edge to be able to get rid of that salvage and still keep a straight edge, okay? And then I'm going to take, and this has already been cut 7 1/4 this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's my quarter mark, okay? Now I'm gonna go over this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then line it up with a quarter. And again, with my creative grid ruler, I am going to line these lines up with the lines on my grid to make sure that I'm getting that perfect cut. And straight up, 7 1/4 right there. One more. I'm going to line this up just to make sure that I am ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a quarter. And remember, you always, always, always double check before you make that cut to make sure that you are ready to go. And again, at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's my quarter. Go ahead and cut that piece. Now I've got both of my 2 pieces that I am needing for that. And I'm taking all of my extra pieces. As you can see, I've got a nice little pile started here. And hold on to all of these, because as we get into more of the blocks and we get into the smaller pieces, you may be able to use and not have to cut from your great big pieces of fabric, but use your smaller pieces, okay? And what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut everything. We aren't in our regular room because it's really hot over there. The air is out. And so until we can get that all fixed, we need to go ahead and do a plan B. And this is our plan B. So I'm just kind of a makeshift little setup here. And to make it easier for Tim while he is doing the taping, I'm going to go ahead and cut all the pieces to bring it over then to our Opal 670 cube, 690. That's a 690 cube, sorry. And that's the one that we're going to work on today, okay? So what we want to do, and I'm going to just kind of show you as we go, we have our center piece here, and we have the yellow pieces, which is what we want to start with first. We want to start in our center, okay? So we're going to build our center block first. So we have our floral piece, that is what I'm using. And then I'm going to take one of my yellow blocks because that is what I need to attach to my floral piece, okay? And we need to make a cut to do diagonal. Now there's a couple of ways that we can do this. We have the Fons and Porter with the OmniGrid little rulers. And these little rulers, they're really cool because you can match with the yellow. I wore yellow today, so it's probably, I don't know, can you see that very well? If you look here and you see the line in the center, the yellow line, okay, what you need to do is you need to lay that down. We want to flip our piece of fabric over so that we're drawing our line on the back part of the fabric, okay? And we're going to line up corner to corner with that little yellow piece that's in the center of the ruler. And what we're going to do, we have several different types of pens that you can use. We have the air whatever pen. it dissolves in the air. And then we have the water-soluble pens. And then we also have a couple other of the, like iron, you mark and then you can erase when you iron. Now you have to be careful because with the water-soluble, if you iron the water-soluble before wiping it away, washing it away, it will stay. So you've got to make sure that you're real careful when you're choosing what pens to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark with my my air pen. It'll dissolve like within 12 hours. And you mark on each side of this ruler here, okay? And what it's going to do is it's going to give you that 1/4 inch stitch mark. If you don't have a 1/4 inch foot, this is one way that you can make sure that you're stitching a 1/4 inch. And when I move this out of the way, then I can take my ruler and set this on top of the 1/4 inch mark. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking and finding my 1/4 inch on the ruler and laying it on that first blue line. Line that up, and it'll be a perfect cut. Okay, straight up. Now, not only did I get a perfect cut with that, but now I also have my blue markings that will be my 1/4 inch that I can sew my pieces with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to go ahead and do one of each of these. And they do come in different sizes. So if you have great big blocks, there's great big ones that you can use, or the ones that I have the smaller pack here, because those seem to be the basis of the blocks that I usually do deal with. And this one here is just a little short. Where's my other one at? Hold on. Okay. And so then we'll line this up, and using our pen, make our marks, one on each side. Okay. And take our ruler, and we're going to find that 1/4 inch and line that up right on top. Give us that marking there. Again, now you see, turn it that way, you see the blue on the back, so you'll be able to follow that. And we have our perfect triangle, okay? And we'll go ahead and do a couple of these. And once you get used to doing these, it just makes it so much simpler. And if you are seasoned and you're like, oh, I don't use that, that's fine. You don't have to, because there are times when I'm in a hurry and I don't look for my little ruler there to be able to use, and I will just take and match up my, and I'll show you. I'll just find my edge to edge, just like this, and then I'll just give it a swipe straight up. But I don't have my quarters. I don't have my 1/4 piece there to show where I'm stitching. Therefore, I'm going to have to rely on my 1/4 inch foot. Okay? So now we are going to go ahead. We've got some pieces cut here, and let me go ahead do one more, because I'm going to go ahead and take you through the entire block, and that way anyone that has any questions, if I did miss anything, then maybe I'll catch it later here. And I'll go ahead. And I do want to say that everyone that has posted their blocks from last week, You guys have some gorgeous, gorgeous blocks. I'm so proud of you. And they looked so nice, so nice. All right, so I think we've got all the pieces that we're gonna need to get our center part fixed here. And that'll work. And all right, let's step on over here to the machine. I think we're pretty much done here. Oh wait, no we're not. I just happened to think. How about, I wanted to show you a trick, and it'll be easier for me to show you here than over here. Since we're doing the triangles, and what I usually do to save time on trying to see if I'm in the center or anything like that, I will go through and I will fold my pieces like so and just give it a good finger press, okay? Because I'm going to find my center, okay? And it really helps when you have the starch and go ahead and it'll hold it a lot better that way. And this way here I am going to do this. This way, when I have all four sides, I can just match up right sides together and put my piece. And then in the center, remember last week we talked about placing your pin in the center first when you are pinning anything, and that way everything doesn't move on you closer to the top or closer to the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead. When you do one side, then you want to go straight across the other side to be able to do your next piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do both of those right now since I'm standing here. And right sides together, find my center right on top of there, and that way you have a perfect center every time. And I just pin that. I had a lot of people really rave about the pins, the magic pins, and had several people come in and get them this week. I'm hoping that those of you waiting on more of the creative grid rulers, I'm hoping that those come in this week. So check in. Remember that you do get a 20% discount off of the different items we used for that week, so that's a wonderful thing. So let's go ahead and step on over here to the machine so that we can start putting our pieces together. Go ahead and grab all of this with me. And I think a lot of you have noticed that these blocks do go together rather quickly. The biggest part is cutting everything out and making sure that you have everything ready to go. So the first thing that we do then is we're going to go ahead, and what helps, remember right there, that's our 1/4 inch. We've already got our 1/4 inch mark, but I'm going to go ahead and put it through on the machine using the 1/4 inch. And again, I'm using the Opal 690Q, and this is a really nice machine too. It's very smooth. Make sure that you're taking those pins out. You get to your pins, and then we can go ahead and we cut that. All right, and then we can step on over here, which I'm just gonna kind of sit here and press that down. I need to get one of the wool mats and lay that out so I don't have to keep getting up and down, but in time we'll get it all figured out. And so then I come over, I'm going to do the second part. Are you able to see okay?
Yep.
Okay, and let me go ahead, oh, no, it's that. All right, give me just a second here, and I'm gonna go ahead and press this down, okay? And then we'll attach the next sides of this piece. I really hope that these videos are helping. I know sometimes I just kind of go off and to Never Never Land and when I'm talking about these things, but hopefully showing you can see and understand. Again, we're going to go ahead, fold this in half, give it a little finger press, and let me fold this one again because when I ironed that. Okay, and then we're going to right sides together, find our center, and we're doing the opposite side. We'll go ahead and pin. And these little pins, like they barely make a mark in your fabrics, and that's what I love. They're just a fine pin. So get that, and then we'll go over here on this other side, and we're going to do our. So this is the trick for doing the triangles, so that you make sure that your triangles, and you're not wasting all this time trying to find your centers. And all you do, you just match up those folds, and there you go. So much quicker. And we'll get ready here. And I know I forgot to say last week, and I did post on Facebook, that when we do finish these blocks, and they will eventually end up being 12 by 12, but you do not want to square these up yet. We're going to do that all at one time when we get closer to the end here, okay? So we're going to start then. Again, we're right there with that 1/4 inch mark, and don't even have to think about it. We're going to go ahead. Just follow that line, and voila. Okay, and cut that one. And just flop it over. We'll just press them both at the same time, save a little time here. Okay, cut both of those, and then we're going to do our press. And remember what I said, we want to press down where we sewed first, and then we'll go ahead, open that up. And all right. Okay, with our outer center piece that we're doing here around the yellow that I have, okay, we're going to flip that piece over, and it's one piece, 7 1/4, and we are going to take our little 1/4 inch ruler here, and we're going to do corner to corner, but this time we're going to do on both corner to corners, okay? Because when we cut this, we are going to be cutting it into 4 pieces. So we line this up, so that we can get our 4 pieces. And as you can see here, okay, we've got it divided into the 4 pieces. Now I take my smaller ruler, line it up on that 1/4 inch mark to be able to get my first cut. And then I'm going to turn mine, make it a little easier, match them back up. And I am going to line that for my second cut. Okay, and that will give us our 4 pieces that we need to be able to go onto each side here, like so. Okay, and when we have those attached like this, we're going to set this piece aside because okay, so now we are going to do our corner piece next for our block. So this right here is what we're going to work on. Okay, our green corner piece with our white triangles. And so I have my corner block here, and I've got my 2 triangle pieces. So the way that we know for sure that these are setting correctly, when we set this down, the blue line, purple line, whatever color you've used of the pen to make your 1/4 inch mark is going to be in the center of the block, okay? So, and again, we're putting right sides together. So I've got my right side white going to my right side of my corner block. And I lay that down, and I'm going to go ahead and pin that piece just to assure that it is there and not going anywhere. Okay, and then the next piece that I'm going to put on is for the other side of the block. So that is also going to lay right on top, as if we were just setting the whole piece right back on to the corner piece. And so we are going to line this piece up, starting with the corner down here, and it's going to overlap, and we are going to pin this piece in place. Okay. And then we are going to go ahead and sew down one side, and then we'll turn around and sew down the other, where it is going to open up to be straight across at the bottom. Okay? So let me go over here and sew this. And again, I'm relying on my 1/4 inch foot at this time, because I'm not sewing on that blue line. And when I get to the edge here, I'm going to move this other piece that's laying over top of the my bottom piece that I'm sewing on right now, just so that I sew on that piece only. Okay. And I take out my pin. So I've got my one side here. Now I'm going to turn it, just give it a half turn, or I should say a 1/4 turn, and lay this down, put this over top, and then I'm going to start stitching straight down this way. So that when we open it up, it kind of looks like I think of it as like Sally Fields in The Flying Nun. When you're finished, it's going to kind of have that look. So that you know your piece is going the correct way. So when I open this up now, see, there's her face, and there's my flying nun. Okay, so I'm going to come over and give that a quick iron. And I'm not too worried about the my blue lines here, because they are going to be in my 1/4 inch mark, so I'm not too worried about that if they get permanently embedded into my fabric. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to match up my corners down here with my corners here. Okay, can you see that all right? I'm going to match these up, and I'm going to put a pin. So I'm going to place that in there, make sure that it's matched up, and I'm going to place that pin right there. And we're going to do one side and then flip over to the other side to do the opposite way. I'm going to pin both of these down here so I don't have it moving all over the place. And if you notice, like I have a little excess here. If you notice, it's not matching straight up. And the reason why it's not matching straight up is because when I did my point and I went by my point, it was off just a little bit down there. So because I want my points, that means more to me, making sure that they match up. So you are going to have that excess because sometimes they just don't work out that way. And okay, we're going to get ready to sew these two down. All right. And again, I'm going to I have my blue lines here, so I'm just going to follow right along my blue lines. Hold on here. I got caught up in my thread there. Okay, and I'm going to flip my other side and do it, just staying right on top of my blue line. And then we're going to press those two open. And remember, we're going to press right on top of where we just sewed. And then open it up. Okay, and now we're going to take our next pieces here and attach those. Make sure my points. And my one point over here, I did not get it exactly where it needed to go, but I will take that out and redo it later. And sometimes these points are a little on the tricky side. Make sure. Okay, and then we'll get ready to sew this one down. We're almost finished. But I always make sure that I do these outer blocks, put those two, the triangle piece with the square piece, do those, and then attach to my center block. It just makes it a lot easier to construct. And again, so when I ironed, these went on the inside, and I want to make sure that when I am stitching that doesn't get pulled and slipped up underneath. So you want to make sure that is stitching properly. And normally, because as you can see, like the white, you could iron this to go down the opposite way, but then that makes it really bulky down in there. But once we put batting and stuff behind here, you're not going to see all of that, so I'm not too worried about it. And that's just my personal, if you want to be able to do it the other way and have that bulk, that is totally up to you. But I need to watch and make sure that my feed dogs don't try turning that up under the other way when it's stitching. So just kind of make sure that you're paying attention as you're going over these bigger areas. I go kind of move that. It's going over a bigger hump. You want to make sure that stays flat. Okay. Stay flat. And flip the other side. Again, we're going over another one of those pieces, so we've got to make sure that stays flat. Otherwise we'll get a great big ball up underneath there. And every time this edge gets right here to the bulkier pieces, my fabric wants to go up on top of my foot, so you got to just be cautious with that. Okay, we've got that done, so we will now press this piece. And press that open. And again, remember, we're not going to square up any of the blocks until we are finished, okay? Getting closer to where we're going to be constructing the entire quilt. We'll wait and do it all at the same time. But here we have our completed mosaic block. Got it? Any questions, just make sure to give me a holler. I want to go ahead and show you over here. Hold on, don't bring it over here, let me just bring it to you. And so next week we are going to work on card tricks. This will be our block for next week, okay? It is called Card Tricks. It's a fun and a little bit more challenging. You got to really pay attention to your big triangles and your small triangles, okay? And just to let you know, and I will have this on Facebook as well as to what you need to cut. But let me hold it up here and I'll just read from the card so that if anyone's taking any measurements or anything, you're going to want to cut one of each one of the colors that you're going to use for your card trick. One of each color, 5 1/4 inch, okay? And that's going to be for your smaller triangles, okay, where you see these smaller triangles here. And then for your larger triangles, you're going to want to cut one of each color, 4 7/8 inch. And then for the background, whatever you're using for your background triangles, which is all the way around, framing that in, and you're going to cut 2 of the 5 1/4 inch and 1 4 7/8 inch. And I will post this to make sure that you have those measurements to get ready for that piece. And then we're going to go ahead and draw our name too for our winner of, I just put everybody that posted their block, put your name into the drawing here. I think we had, can't remember, 23 or 24 people, so that's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. I was real happy with that. And all right, do you want to draw a name? You reach in, and Tim's going to reach in here and pull out a name for us and see who it is. All right. Oh, it is Nora Cleary. Congratulations, Nora. Yay! So Nora gets a free yard of fabric. So this week it's a free yard of fabric. So Nora, you just, next time you're in, pop in and pick up your free yard of fabric. We'll notify you, and then next week, everybody make sure that you're posting your blocks so that you will also get entered into the drawing, okay? All right, I think that's it, and we will see you next week. Same sewing time, same sewing channel. Bye.